Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe. Welcome back on the channel the day after. It start to be a usual one that I really like. Why? Because we take out the emotions, we review the game, and then we can talk about it, trying to be the most objective as possible. I will rate the players, I will talk about the game. Don't forget, this is my opinion only. Some people see the game from another perspective, so I respect also your ratings, what you think about it, but this is my opinion to analyze the game on what happened yesterday. So we start with the game. The game was really strange because just right before the game, we were announced Higuain to start instead of Dybala. That was a big change, something that I said before the game I respected from Sarri. According to me, a wrong decision, but I respected that Sarri tried something that he really had in mind. Remember, when we played versus Inter just right before the lockdown, he did the same thing. Pjanic on the bench with Bentancur as a playmaker, Ramsey on the right, in the front, Higuain, Ronaldo, and Douglas Costa. So he did exactly the same with one change. It was Rabiot instead of Matuidi. Why? Because Rabiot is in a great shape. So at the end, was it that surprising if you know Maurizio Sarri? No, it was not. So we just before the whistle, what happened? Higuain was injured, and we saw Dybala instead of Higuain. Dybala that did an amazing game. The game started, and we clearly saw that Lazio had a lot of difficulties because they were not playing with their B team, but with some of their C players, like Anderson, for example. So it was really difficult for Lazio, two teams that were not in the biggest shape form since the beginning of the Serie A. So it was a game where everything could happen, but clearly Juventus was advantage because they could have some options in the team, and we knew that it was a decisive game for Serie A. We started the game, Lazio some difficulties, as we just said, but the Juventus started to have really the possession, and we saw the idea of Maurizio Sarri that was put in practice because we saw a lot of passes. We tried to be really dangerous. It was not that easy. We had a post, so that was in the beginning of the game, a post where we said, difficult. We could have scored that one. We didn't. So 0-0, but really beautiful first half where, yes, for some people it was a boring game, but Lazio was really trying to block every offensive concentrating their game on the counter attack. What they really did at a certain moment at the end of the first half, where Bentancur made a really crazy retro passage, and Immobile was really strong to fool Bonucci, because we know that the Immobile is a left foot, but he was fooling him because he shoot with his right foot, where Bonucci made a really big mistake because again he was giving his ass instead of his front. So first half 0-0, then we started again. We continued to press with first a penalty given to Juventus, correct penalty, 1-0 with Ronaldo, and then the second goal, an amazing pressing from Ronaldo and Dybala. Dybala was able to catch the ball. They were running. Dybala was really not selfish at all because he gave the ball to Ronaldo to score the 2-0. Then we tried to control the game, and we said, okay, this time there will be no blackout because Juventus is playing really well. They are okay, trying to sleep the game and paying attention to the counter-attack, what happened towards the end of the game. Big communication problems between Szczesny and Bonucci. 2-1, a penalty. So and we ended the game like that with an amazing free kick from Sergej Milinkovic-Savic that was near to do the 2-2 at the 90th minute, but a great save of Szczesny. So that was the game. Did we deserve the win? Yes, absolutely. The positive thing is that we see that the team is still supporting Sarri, except of some moments I will explain later. The positive thing is +8 versus Inter, the second in Serie A, where we have 4 games to play. Udinese, Cagliari, Sampdoria, and Roma. So we can say today that 90% of the chances, except of a big blackout, a Harakiri, Juventus is for the 9th time consecutively champion of Italy. We go immediately to the players rating because that's important. Starting with the goalkeeper, Chesney a 6. He deserved at a certain moment a 6.5, especially due to, I said already, the amazing save that they did in the 90th minute. He saved us on that moment. So, but the big communication problem with him and Bonucci, because we are all blaming Bonucci, but that goal is due to both of them. So a 6 for Chesney. We continue with another player, Juan Cuadrado. Juan Cuadrado a 6. Why? Because in the first half, he was suffering Anderson. Anderson that played until their 36 minutes in the whole Serie A. He was there because he had to be there. Johnny was not there at Lazio. So it's a C player that put the defensive skills of Cuadrado a lot in difficulty. He had difficulty containing him, so that's a problem. But then he grew, and especially when he was put as a offensive player, all the players were really looking for Cuadrado, giving him as much as possible the ball because his offensive support was amazing. So a 7 for the offensive side, a 5.5 for his defense. So I would give a 6 for Cuadrado. Then we have another player, Matthijs de Ligt, with a 6.5. I don't give him a 7 because we clearly see that the guy is suffering on his shoulder. He's not doing the same things as in the past, pressing the men's really high. He really stayed on his line also to make sure that there were not a lot of counterattacks. So what I really appreciate about Matthijs de Ligt is the guy should be on a surgery for his shoulder, is resisting, is a beast. He's really there until the last minute of the game. A real warrior. 6.5 for Matthijs de Ligt. And then we have a player I want to take a bit of time to explain, Leonardo Bonucci, with a 4.5 for me. Why? Because not only the communication problem that cost us a 2-1, but again, in the first half, he was fooled by Immobile, giving his ass again. It's not the first time, so that started to be really difficult. The communication problem, because the 2-1 is in a major part his fault. And then it's not over, because if you analyze the game, 2 or 3 different times he was giving the ball with long passes really central that caused Juventus a lot of problems because it gave it immediately to the Sassuolo player. So he has to wake up. For me, it was also the worst player of the game. Then we continue with Alexandro with a 6. Nothing extraordinary for Alexandro. Nothing really dangerous. He played his game. For me, a 6, not more, not less. 6 for Alexandro. I'm really happy that it's not the Alexandro from a few games ago, especially versus Milan. So, yes, Alexandro. Ramsey, a big surprise for some people, for all of us. Let's say we knew that Ramsey was not in a big shape. He never played since the first minute of the game, since after the lockdown. He received an amazing chance to prove himself. So a big trust from Sarri and also him. Not a disaster, not a phenomenal, not the top player. He did his game until he had energy, because then he was subbed at the 60th minute. So nothing special to say about him. Bentancur, one of my favorite players, 5.5, because the first really dangerous attack from Immobile, where he hit the post, came from him because he was not concentrated. He gave the ball in the back and he started actually to be really dangerous. Not dangerous for Juventus, but dangerous against Juventus. So a lot of people on the web are saying that it was fun until it lasted as Bentancur as a playmaker, but since a few games, it's showing that he's maybe not ready to play that position better on the right side of the midfield. I have a lot of hope in seeing Bentancur playing as a regista playmaker. I have to admit, the last game he was not doing really well on that position. Then we have another player, 7.5 for Rabiot. For me, man of the game, Adrien Rabiot. What a performance again. Really, he showed that he did a box-to-box for 90 minutes. I'm really happy to see that he's also able, after the lockdown, to play 90 minutes, not only 90 minutes being present on the field, but on a great level. What a game from Adrien. He also took initiatives to shoot on the first half. So this is really beautiful because we missed that from Ramsey, we missed that from Bentancur, from Matuidi, for example. He's not scared to take initiatives and shoot. Really, really well done from Adrien Rabiot, man of the game. Well done for him, and is really positively in shape. I'm really happy. Well done for Adrien Rabiot. We go to the offensive line with Douglas Costa, more than 30 minutes this time because he started. He played a bit more than 60 minutes until the 2-0. Then he was subbed out. Yeah, in the first half, I really liked him because he was one of the only men that were able, thanks to his dribbles and passes skills, to break the lines from Lazio. And this is something that creates or gives us the opportunity to create difficulty to Lazio in that first half. So that was really well done from Douglas Costa. And then you saw that clearly after the 30th, 35th minute, it started to slow down. We are now at the 9th or 10th game after the lockdown. I don't know how long he needs to be able to play 90 minutes, but for 6 million a year, maybe he needs a bit more minutes to prove us that he's a Juventus player. Dybala with a 7. Why a 7? Because a lot of people would have given him 7.5 or a 8 or 8.5. For me, a 7. Why? Because his performing was stunning, amazing, probably the game changer, because we will never know what would happen if Higuain was starting. We will never know that. But the guy was on fire yesterday. Also with his assist for Ronaldo, a lot of players would have taken the opportunity to score. He gave it to Ronaldo. So for me, amazing. Also the pressing that he did on that goal was really amazing. Really beautiful game. Why a 7 and not a 7.5? Because when he was subbed out, he showed again a negative reaction. And those are the things in crucial games like that a vice captain, because that was what it is last season before that Bonucci received the armband, cannot show. You need to stick with your team. And after the game, you can talk to Sarri how much you want to say that you are not happy, but you have to show the example. So for that, a 7. Ronaldo, 7.5. Scoring penalties for some people is easy. We call him Penaldo for other. That tap in after the assist of Dybala was easy, but scoring a penalty at that moment of the game, in a game like that, is not easy. The concentration level has to be really high. He also was really positive. When there was a certain moment, a drink moment, a break, not at the halftime, but before, we really clearly saw that he was speaking to the players to motivate them, to say, pay attention, we have to win that game. For me, yesterday, he was a real leader. And then we go to Maurizio Sarri. No, let's talk first about the subs. 5.5 for Matuidi. Clearly, it has nothing to do with Maurizio Sarri's style. He did his job for the moment he came in, but you really clearly see that the players are not always looking for Blaise Matuidi. And then the last sub, because Rugani, we will not even give him a score. He played too few minutes, but Danilo, a 6. He did okay, replacing Cuadrado on the right, while Cuadrado was playing a bit more in the front. So well done. And then we finish with Maurizio Sarri, the last one that I want to give a rating, a 6 for Maurizio. We will never know again what would happen if Higuain started the game. Probably it would have been a good choice, or maybe it would be a disaster. We will not know. We can only say one thing. Yesterday, he had to win the game. At the end, he go back with the 3 points with a +8 versus Inter. This time, he also was able to do the changes immediately after the 2-0 without waiting any longer second. He had no other possibility that moved Cuadrado to the front because Higuain was injured. So for me, he managed the game well. A 6 for Maurizio Sarri. So guys, this is what I thought about the game, my analysis. I hope you agree. If not, or if yes or not, let me know in the comment what you think about it. What are your ratings? Do you think Juventus really deserved the game? Yes or no? I try to be as objective as possible. Let's see what your opinions are about that. Thank you for following the channel. Thank you for putting a like on it. Thank you. Forza Juve.